What's up, fungal associates? Welcome to Completely Arbortrary. It's the podcast about trees and some other related topics,
etc.
I'm one of your hosts. My name is Alex Crowson.
I'm another one of your hosts. Yes, hello, it's me, Casey Clapp, arborist extraordinaire. Wow,
Yes.
I don't say that. I have to wait for someone else to say it.
How humble.
It's like I can't walk through a door until someone invites me in.
You try on a new suit, you walk out, and you're like, so I look... Everybody's like, good. Yes, I look good. Thank you.
You know, I was not searching for a descriptor to add on to it. I was an epithet. I appreciate that. Thank you, Alex.
Hi, Casey.
Hello. It's a beautiful sunny day. We just had a little bit of a couple rainy days. It was so nice.
Oh my gosh. I woke up yesterday. It was gray and a little drizzly out, but it was that misty rain.
Yeah.
That nice light mist. Mm-hmm. And I went for a little walk, and I thought, I'm truly happy to be alive.
Yeah, it was great.
I'm grateful to be alive after that heat wave.
Yeah.
I'm glad I survived it.
Yeah, you did a very good job. I'm very happy that you kept drinking your water. You're
Thank
not,
you.
You know, shriveled up like a sun-dried tomato.
All right. Casey.
Yes, Alex.
So as you know, recently I'll say indulged in a bit of a guilty pleasure.
Oh, yeah, you're playing guitar again.
I'm always playing guitar, Casey. No. I have gotten back. It's a little embarrassing, but I've gotten back into Pokemon cards.
What?
And I don't play the game. I just like to look at them, and I like the artwork, and I
see,
you know.
Well, see now you're a purveyor. You know, it's like
Careful now. Yes.
It gets up to Well, see now you're a pervert. We get it. No, see, I think that makes sense. You when you're a kid, you play, and then when you're older, you analyze from the top down.
Yes,
You know?
That's a great. You put away childish things into binders and sleeves for protection,
And then you look at them later.
Yeah,
there you go.
And I ripped open a pack of Pokemon cards today.
Okay, yeah,
as I want to do. And I have been kind of I like to involve my friends in my hobbies as much as possible because I'm very annoying that way. And I came across a card.
What if I did that, Alex? Constantly pulled you along with me talking about trees all the time?
Interesting. That is really interesting. Okay.
Anyway.
I guess you're the most annoying person in the world. I came across a card and I thought, holy shit.
That one's in a plastic thing.
This has Casey written all over it. Casey,
What?
This is my gift to you. This is a Pokemon.
What?
I'd like you to have a look at it here.
Okay, all right. Okay, it's Pineco.
Pineco. This is
It's a pine cone.
a pine cone Pokemon.
I love it. It's a ram. It's got 2 times fire as a weakness. It has 0 resistance, and it has 2 stars for retreat, which means it can run away.
Yes.
This is so great. Wow, thank you, Alex.
That is a pinecone Pokemon. I had no idea this existed until today.
Neither did I. It spits out a fluid that it uses to glue tree bark to its body. The fluid hardens when it touches air.
It sounds a little like something we know, huh?
Yeah, that sounds like
Let's say it on
gum.
3.
1.
Okay.
Well, did I just take that right from you?
No, it's okay.
Wind out of your sail.
There's also a Pokemon that I only have 1 copy of, so I'm not going to give it to you.
That's fair.
But it is a tree that plays the drums, which is even more
They
Casey.
listen to our podcast.
They must.
They have to.
They must.
Wow, this is incredible. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
That's what I wanted to spend this intro doing.
What? It weighs 15.9 pounds.
Wow.
What? I didn't even know that they had this kind of like stats for these things.
Oh yeah, Casey.
Wow, it's 2 feet tall. Thanks, Alex.
You're welcome, Case. Today we are not here to talk about Pokemon, which is extremely unfortunate. But what's fortunate is that we're here to talk about a tree. And what's even more fortunate is we're here to talk about a tree that grows something that I simply adore.
I also didn't know that you simply or complicatedly adored this in any way.
Big fan. And today's tree is the tamarind.
The tamarind tree.
Tamarindo.
Yes. So you've had this before. You've eaten it. This is something you've had a relationship with.
Yes.
Okay.
Tamarind is one of those things. I went and got some items for a segment we're doing later.
Oh.
I was talking to the cashier at the store that I got this at. And I was like, man, tamarind is one of those flavors that I love every time I have it.
Yeah.
But if you said, what does tamarind taste like?
Yeah.
I'd be like, I can't even like put words to it. I can never remember what it tastes like.
Yeah.
And then I have it again and I'm like, oh, this is great. I love this.
How interesting.
And the girl I was talking to, she said, oh, I'm like that with matcha. And I was like, oh, me too. Totally. It's just one of those flavors that I never really latch onto, but every time I have it, it's a delight.
How weird. I think there's a lot of flavors that I think about that with.
Yeah.
An example would be like bubblegum, where it's like, what is bubblegum flavor?
Sure. It's bubblegum.
I don't know. Yeah, like it is, it's like a primary color, you know, you can't dissect it down.
Dude, that's so funny.
That's how I feel about this. I'm like, I don't know what bubblegum is. I don't know where it comes from.
Yes. And actually, I love tamarind, but I don't know where it comes from. I don't know what this thing looks like.
Beautiful.
I didn't even know it was from a tree, to be honest. I thought it was a root this whole time.
Excellent.
So I'm very excited to talk about this today, Casey. I am pumped. This is plant-based diet, part 2. We're talking tamarind, but we got to do so after a quick break. We'll be right back with Completely Arbortrary. Welcome back. To Completely Arbortrary.
Are you spooked? Is everything okay?
I scared myself.
Yeah, what happened?
A little jump scare. Someone walked in front of my ofrenda and I got a little spooked.
What is an ofrenda?
It's the thing that it's like a little shrine you build for somebody you love who's passed on Dia de los Muertos.
I see. You know,
I was making a Mexico connection because we're talking about tamarind.
Which is funny that you made that connection and you are saying, we're talking about Mexico. Because I have approached this entire episode from South India.
Oh, wow.
But I guess that just means we'll have to talk about why.
Well, that is sort of that says something interesting about trees, Case.
Now, doesn't it really?
You know, they grow laterally, I guess, around the world.
Yeah, that's very well said.
So, yeah, there you go.
Well, you decide where we're at. Tell me, and then we'll talk about what this tree looks like.
I'm going to say we're in Oaxaca, Mexico.
Nice!
Well, let's imagine that we are back there, Casey. Me for the first time, you for the last time, unfortunately. And we come across some tamarind trees.
Yeah.
And I am busy paying attention to the Mayan ruins. And you're like, Alex, there's trees over here.
Look at this tree.
Let's ID this tree.
All right. Well, first thing, Alex, you're going to notice is it's a nice, reasonable-sized tree.
Okay.
This is the kind of tree that is never going to be like imposingly large, but it's not going to be small enough to really be like, oh, that's cute.
Okay. So it's at least a tree.
Yeah, it's a good reasonable sized tree.
Okay.
It's one of those things where as soon as it walks up, you go look at it and you're like, yeah, there you go. And you pat it on the trunk. You know, that's how I feel about this. 65 feet is what I found a lot of people saying. Yeah, it goes about that height.
It's a good tree.
80 feet, I have heard in some situations. A 100-foot tree has been called out. Man, maybe they are such old and storied trees where I think that people will many times say, yes, this tree was so old and, you know, their ancestors had experience with it and because they're very long-lived. So I think a lot of these higher estimates could be someone just saying, that tree's 100 feet tall. I think the people who measure these things have gotten up to 80.
Like they're a bit of like folklore-ish.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, exactly. That kind of thing.
Cool. But that's still a respectably tall tree.
Still respectable, especially if you consider it gets 50 feet wide.
Wow.
So the tree can become very rounded, this big, huge, kind of large domed tree.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I dig it. I dig this entire idea of it. And as you zoom in, it gets nicer and nicer. The bark is the next thing that you're probably going to notice from afar without looking too closely at anything else. It gets rough bark, and it is a tropical tree. It's very sensitive to frost. I think I heard a big frost in like North Florida and central southern Florida in like the 1800s and the 80s. It killed a lot of the medium and small trees.
Wow.
And only the biggest trees could actually survive when it got down. I think it was like a few days of 26 degrees, so like really cold.
Wow.
They are very frost tender. Once it gets cold, they do not like it.
I would imagine so.
Yeah. So the bark ends up getting like, it starts to crack into tiny little plates. And these tiny little plates are all split kind of very evenly. So it has this like nice kind of fine looking texture, but it's very rough, like textured plate. It looks fine. Like, you know, you zoom out and like, oh, that looks like a very nice uniform texture. You zoom in, and you're like, okay, that's a little more rough. As it gets older and larger, those plates kind of get larger and bigger, and some of them fall off. So it has this kind of, at one point, uniformly platey, ridged bark. And at the other point, it becomes flaky, almost like it's like kind of exfoliating off in a plate here, a plate there, a plate here, a plate there.
Okay.
So it kind of creates this really interesting texture that I think is very handsome. Now, you'll notice, as you get a little closer, that there are leaves on this tree.
10 out of 10 on the leaves.
You love these leaves?
I wouldn't change a thing. They're so adorable.
Really?
Yes. Are you not a fan?
No, I'm perfectly a fan, mate.
Okay.
But the leaves are nice. I can't believe that you love them so much. Can you describe them to us?
Are they pinnately compound?
They are pinnately compound.
Well, that's
alternately
number one.
arranged, yeah.
Yep. And they've got that little terminal leaf on the end there?
No, they don't.
Well, you and I are looking at different information.
Uh-oh. No, they're even pinnate most of the time.
They're terminalless?
Yeah, they don't have one single thing. They have pairs always.
But they're this cute little button mushroom looking leaves.
Are.
They're adorable.
Their leaflets are they're like truncated. They're like almost square at the end, right? Yes, I think the term you're looking for is elliptic.
Thank you.
Where essentially the two sides are parallel, and then the apex and the base are both essentially mirror images of each other.
Yeah.
The best way I can think about it is if you draw an oval and then you like cut it in half and separate it and then put two lines between the long side.
Wow, this is...
Does that make sense?
No.
Oh, damn it. Well, all right. Just think of an oval that's very elongated.
Not to me, anyway.
All right. Someone else out there is like, oh, yeah, totally, Casey. I see you.
It's when you make a rectangle in Photoshop, and then you round the corners.
Okay, yeah, there you go. That's perfect. Yeah, that's it. The flowers, I am kind of surprised about. So I had to dig into this a little bit because the flowers are just gorgeous.
Amazing.
They look beautiful. They look like little orchids. And as soon as I said that, and like I wrote that down in my notes, then I kept, looking at other people's descriptions, and many people are like, yeah, they look like orchids. And they actually have 4 sepals, which is interesting because they have 5 petals.
Oh.
Normally, you have the same number of sepals and petals.
Yes.
So this is very interesting to me. And I was also curious because everyone was saying it has 3 petals. That is false. It has 5 petals, just like everything else in the pea family, which this is a part of. This is in the Fabaceae, which we know has those fancy kind of 2 different kinds of flowers. The one type that is in the kind of mimosoid section, which essentially are very reduced flowers with a bunch of giant stamen that are the kind of pretty parts. The classic silk tree mimosa, albizia julibrissin is one of them.
Wow.
And then the other ones that you expect, like the normal pea flowers, they have those 5 petals, the ones that kind of go up and they're the banner. Then you have these 2 that cover over the sexual parts and these 2 others that come down. So it has 5 very distinct petals.
Yeah.
And I think I just described 6, but don't worry about that.
That's okay.
This tree, which... As I had just to give you one scientific name, I realized I forgot to tell you the scientific name, everyone.
Wow.
I am distraught.
What a hack.
This is Tamarindus indica.
Great.
It's a great name. I love this name. Yeah, Alex is already just cheesing about this tree. I see you.
I'm liking this tree.
Okay, all right. So I looked at these flowers and I'm like, there's 3 petals. No, this can't be. This is impossible. There must be something afoot.
Wow.
Turns out
you went Morgan Freeman in 7. You went to the library.
I did
to study.
Whipped my glasses off in the pouring rain. Yeah. And it turns out that there is, of course, 5 petals, but 2 of them have been so reduced that they're essentially like little filaments, just like these little hairs that just kind of pop out.
Wow.
So they just aren't needed. They have the 3 big ones that look great, and they're perfectly happy with that.
It's very strange looking, but it's beautiful.
Now I can certainly say that. Like it looks, you have to look a couple times to be like, what exactly is going on here?
Totally, it's hard to tell what's the flower and like where does it start and stop.
Yeah. Now, because this is also important because the sepals in this kind of outer shell that also has a like 2 bracts that cover over the entire thing. So those bracts fall away. Then you have the sepals that come out. Then the petals. Then these long pistons and stamen that pop out. Wow. Now these are just gorgeous yellow color with these red kind of veins, so they look almost like they're striped.
Yes.
Then the buds of the rest of this long raceme, and there's usually about 6 inches long, about 6 or so individual flowers. And so the sepals of the unopened flower buds are also this kind of like rouge color. So the whole thing like adds together. It blends very well.
Wow.
Strawberry lemonade.
Do I?
Yes, Alex, he does. This is the strawberry lemonade, I think, of flowers.
Tell me more.
Well, so the pinks and the yellows go together beautifully. The flavors go together beautifully.
Wow.
This is the embodiment of that in a flower form.
Casey, I love it. I think you just unlocked something too.
I did?
Family tree, but with objects.
with objects and drinks. Yeah. I think that would be great. Here's the next thing, though. This is really what we're here to talk about.
Wow.
This tree produces a interesting fruit. This fruit, along with that curious flower that has not necessarily all the correct numbers of parts that you'd expect from all the other things, help put this into its own genus, and it is a monotypic species. So
it owns this house.
It does. Tamarindus is Tamarindus. There's only one, and that is it.
That's impressive.
It has this gigantic fruit that I say gigantic, but and it just looks like it because all the photos, they're kind of like up close, but it's really like 4 to 7 inches long.
Okay.
Usually it's kind of cylindrical.
That's average. That's average.
It's pretty average. Like
four and a half is average.
4.5 is definitely average. Like stop looking up anything else after that. So it was like 2 inches wide. So,
that's
4 inches
more
by 2
than
inches.
average.
That's more than average. It's a chode of a,
sorry.
Definitely a chode of a fruit here.
I hate this runner.
But the thing is, Alex, inside it has usually about 3 to 10 seeds, depending on the length of it. And each one of those seeds is covered in this strange pulp.
Yeah.
And I believe that this comes from not the seeds themselves, as in the last tree we talked about. I believe that this comes from the pod. So the pod is succulent, and it has this goo that kind of develops inside of the actual ovary.
Wow.
It's not the seed coat
jacket.
specifically.
Coat, yes.
Exactly, yeah.
This is, if anything, this is a seed cardigan.
It's a seed cardigan, yeah.
Okay, great. So what you're saying there is this is not part of the seed.
Yes.
Like our ice cream bean tree, which had that outer coating that was a seed coat.
Yes, the seed coat was the ice cream.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a part of the pod.
Yes, this is like a pulp of the pod itself.
Okay, so
yeah.
this is more fruity, if anything.
As far as I can tell, technically, yes. So here's the fun thing about it, though, is that it is tasty. Everybody loves this. Yep. I have found no culture that does not like this. I have found cultures that tend to not use it as much as others.
Of course.
But where it has been introduced, which is almost every tropical place in this entire planet, this tree is used for multiple things.
Universally loved.
And it's this pulp that is like that is the star. That's the flagship of it.
Totally.
But people use the bark, they use the flowers, they use the leaves for very similar things where you'd mash it up and put it into a soup, or you'd add it into something as a spice. So it's got the flavor in all those different parts.
Is the bark like an aromatic?
I think the bark is more something that you would like chip off and find the inner bark and like turn it into a medicinal decoction or something like that.
Okay.
But it's not necessarily the go-to thing, because usually if you can get the good parts out of the fruit, the flowers, and the leaves, you're just going to do that. It's right there. There's no reason to like get through this really hard, tough bark to get to something that you could just pluck right off of a nice twig.
Sure.
But this is the thing. It's about the color of a kiwi. So you look at it, it looks like a kiwi from the outside. But they are like cylindrical, but also like bulbous where the seeds are inside.
It's a snake that swallowed an orange.
It's a snake that swallowed
you can like see it.
multiple oranges.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like there's these little chains of these oranges inside the snake.
It's great.
But what's funny about it is that if you let it dry, then the entire outer like casing, which is a pea pod, so it has the same 2 suture lines as everything else.
That's right.
But usually when it gets dry, then if it is indehiscent, then it will just kind of stay closed. If it's dehiscent, as it dries, it'll pop open.
And this is
indehiscent. It stays shut as it dries. When it dries, the whole outer casing becomes brittle, where you can almost just like crack it and break it, and then it falls apart. And then you're left with just this weird orangey brownish pulp on the inside.
Yeah.
But it also has, which is particular to legumes, the parts that connect each individual seed. And I watched a video that was a little freaky because they cracked it open as if it was like something where you just like, okay, we've cured it inside this, and now we need to like go tink, 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 and like break off the outer husk, and then you have your finished product. It was kind of like that. So these hands just like broke it apart and then pulled off the kind of
umbilical
the
cord.
umbilical cord. Yeah, I mean, we could find the actual term. It's in our last episode. It just I keep on thinking the wrong term, so I'm not going to use it. But yeah, you like peeled it off, and it was like, this looks like you are actually like pulling some very important thing out of some living creature, like you're pulling the spinal cord off or something. It was a little bit like, okay,
I mean, weird. I struggled whether to say this now or later, but I'll say it now. I had an experience with this morning.
You did,
and I was like, "What the hell is in here?
God.
It has veins.
It does. It's weird."
And I had the exact same like emotional reaction as when you like bite into like a chicken thigh. And there's like a vein, and you're like, oh, there's like a fucking tendon in here.
Really?
But I know it's just a plant, but it is so fleshy.
That's kind of gross.
It's disgusting.
Yeah,
but it's so delicious.
The way that you described it, I like less than the way I did.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I am not going to hold that against you.
You're so straightforward with that.
I had to be. What can I say? There's nothing I can do.
Yeah, it's got veins in it. This is fruit with veins.
It really is. And that is, it's kind of fun. It kind of looks cool. Let me see.
It has bones in the form of the seeds.
Yeah. Okay, these are called the funiculus. Just so
funiculus.
Yes, I cannot be okay with myself without finding the proper term. But Alex, this is the thing that gets this tree to be in our series right now, part 2 of our
plant-based diet.
Plant-based diet, yes. So part 2 of our plant-based diet.
Yes.
So here's the thing, though. This tree was brought to my attention initially, not from you, not from anyone in the world who's like, you guys should totally cover this tree. This was brought to my attention by one of our listeners.
Wow, who was it?
This listener is Anna Polamud.
Shout out Anna.
Yes. Hello, Anna. Anna is from South India, which is why, of course, I started looking into this tree from a South Indian perspective.
Oh, sure.
I shouldn't say really South Indian perspective. I was just over in that part of the world in my brain. But whenever I think of tamarind, because I've been not over there, but I have been to Mexico.
Yes.
I have seen all of the small things in like Mexican shops and things like that, where there's like tamarind flavored soda. There's tamarind candies. You can probably find tamarinds, but I never really considered what they looked like. But then when I actually looked it up, I'm like, I've seen this like all over the place.
Casey, I'm just putting something together.
What?
Like one of the key ingredients in pad thai.
Really?
Is tamarind.
No way.
That is pad thai.
But see, Alex, this is the thing about this tree.
Okay.
So what Anna noted is, so 2 things. One, I was like, oh, great, this is tamarind. I know this is eaten. This is famous. I've heard about it 1,000 times. Let's figure out some things about it.
Okay.
Well, one thing is that the word tamarind is a word that was invented by Linnaeus, the Linnaeus who did all of the initial namings and set up our system, right, of taxonomy. So what this name actually means, it comes from tamar, which is an Arab word that means date, and then Hind is short for Hindu, which means essentially at that point in time it was a reference to India.
This is the Indian date.
Literally the Indian date.
Wow.
That's what they called it.
And the texture on the inside of a tamarind is so much like the texture of a date.
Especially if you take the whole pulp and you kind of mash it up and dry it a little bit, it looks like a dry date.
Yes.
So they initially, this is the fascinating history that I started diving into, is that this tree is from Central and Eastern Africa, like along the eastern coast where it's nice and hot, yet also very tropical.
Okay.
So that's where the tree initially is found. Then they've seen records of it in Egypt in like 400 BC. There are records that date between, I think it was like up to 1,200 years and probably closer to like 200 years BC. So very strange amount of distance, but it was from scriptures of people in India talking about the use of this tree. Then they see it pop up over here. Then they see it pop up over there. So it's a tree that they know has been cultivated and spread from Central Africa, and then quickly, and I mean like within like a ridiculously short amount of time, it was moved up and became a staple in South India.
Wow.
As well as probably other places in India. Then it, of course, moved further southeast. It was traded over to the west. And then during the years of colonialism, it got moved all the way down over into South America. This tree has been moved around so much that people in India often consider it a native species. Even though, if we look in our technical way, which, you know, the closer you dig, the more untechnical it becomes, it actually, like, without humans having any real significant effect on it, would have been only growing in Central Africa.
Wow.
But, you know, when you go back to a point in time where animals are eating things and spreading the seeds of a certain plant, that's exactly what we're doing. It's exactly what we have done for thousands and thousands of years. So, you know, for all intents and purposes, yeah, this is just its natural range moved around via this human that it ended up, this animal that it ended up getting this kind of funny relationship with. And so this is kind of, that was the first thing that I really started looking into. I was like, oh, wow, where does this plant from? And where does it grow? And how has it been spread? So like even any place that has it, it is a huge, important part of their cuisine. And I looked, I have a book from Phaedron Press, who, I should plug this right now, just while I would do it. I helped write a couple things and did a bunch of editing for a photo book, an art book.
That's right.
With Phaedron Press. Yeah, you remember this?
I remember this. Yeah.
Man, I did that a year ago.
Wow.
And it's going to be out for print, I think in this fall, I think is when it's going to be
Awesome.
Up for buying. So I have posted about it a little bit. I'm going to do a bunch more.
Yeah.
But as a part of that, they said, hey, you know, we can't pay you, but we'd love to give you some of our books. And I got an Indian cookbook that is huge. It's probably like 2 inches thick.
Damn.
And so I was just looking through it while doing some of this research, and a bunch of things, specifically in the south part of India, which again is where our listener Anna's from.
Yeah.
It's a huge part of their cuisine is using tamarind either as a sauce or just as an add-in or as some kind of flavor. And she said they used to boil the flowers and the fruit in a tin can to make this little sweet drink.
Wow.
Then I learned, Alex, if you harvest them, the actual seed pods early, then they can be a little bit more sour, a little more tangy. And if you let them dry for a little while, they lose about 50% of their moisture and they become far sweeter.
Okay.
So depending on when you harvest it, you'll have a different flavor. And I'm sure that there's also some kind of terrier where if you have these ones that are growing down here, they probably have a different flavor from the soil than these ones up here.
Oh, sure.
I cannot corroborate that. I have not done the culinary research on it.
You're just using some botanical logic.
Yeah, just, you know, usually that's how it happens.
Yeah, interesting. Wow.
Now, here's the final bit.
Okay.
That also got me really energized.
All right.
It's going to have less to do with food, though. Oh. You is Alex like, well, thanks, guys. This has been a really good one.
I'm going to go get the mail.
So you remember way back when in January of 2021,
okay,
we put out an episode called Jupiter's Nut.
Yes. About the walnut?
Yes.
The black walnut?
The black walnut, where historically everyone assumed that the black walnut has allelopathic properties.
Mm-hmm.
It will release juglone into the soil and it will kill everything that's growing around it, or at least inhibit its growth. We then did some research and found somebody else had done some research who's actually a good researcher. Alex.
Thanks.
And this researcher, Linda Chalker Scott, who's just famous for debunking things, ended up saying, there's actually no reasonable good studies that say that, yes, this particular compound from this particular tree that makes it allelopathic, which essentially is a plant's biochemical warfare against other plants and animals. Yeah. Mostly, I should say, specifically plants. There's nothing to substantiate it. There was no good research except for one thing that said, hey, this tree's growing and my tomatoes aren't growing underneath it.
Yeah.
To which everyone said, well, maybe your full sun tomatoes shouldn't be growing in the shade of a densely shady tree.
It's like almost superstitious or something.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
So in this case, I was reading through, and Anna said that a lot of people actually have planted this tree, and it's famous in this area for growing, where a lot of other plants don't want to grow, where it's very hot. They can take that kind of temperature, different soil types, and so they do very well in places where other trees don't necessarily do well, and they will shade over the top of the road. So she said that people would use these, and I thought it was such a fun way where she said when people moved very slowly, traveled very slowly, specifically either walking or going by bullock cart is what she called it.
Okay.
And so it provides shade. And she then said that nothing grows underneath it, so it helps keep the road tidy. And then I read elsewhere that people would have these as trees in their villages for a very similar reason. Nothing would grow underneath it, so it helped keep things tidy. And she particularly noted that in her area, there's a lot of snakes, and she does not like snakes. So keep the underbrush clear, and you can see the snake holes, and you can avoid those snakes.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, this all is making sense. But wait a second. This tree's in the Fabaceae. The Fabaceae, as you recall from last week, is famous for being the trees that have rhizobium in their root nodules that will fix nitrogen from the air, which is 78% nitrogen, but it's all N2, dinitrogen. It's just two nitrogens go together and they're completely inert.
Yes.
So,
will you do me a favor?
It's unusable.
At the beginning of each of these sentences, will you say Your Honor?
Yes, Your Honor.
This is so closing arguments.
So, Your Honor, if I may, if it please the court, these trees, I was like, well, do they also, so you're telling me that these are allelopathic, that they also fix nitrogen. So this would be the situation where the defendant, usually Fabaceae, they're like, hey, whatever, you know what, I'll fix my own nitrogen, have some. You guys go for it.
Yeah.
This tree, though, puts out some chemicals that inhibit the growth of other plants. So it's both a fixer of nitrogen and allelopathic.
Wow.
So it enriches the soil and then tells everybody else to get the hell out, which I'm like, that is diabolical.
It builds a mansion and then bulldozes all the other houses around it.
Anywhere in the view shed,
it
destroys it. Yeah. I'm like, wait a second. So I ended up looking I looked at this and I found a bunch of resources. Some said it has a potential to be nitrogen fixing. Some said it is nitrogen fixing. Some said it does not fix nitrogen. And I have not found definitively if it does or does not. But a bunch of things start with the assumption that it either is or is not, which is very curious to me.
Yeah.
I cannot tell if it is like a good tree or bad tree.
I think it's kind of a great tree.
Wow. Well,
See, the story around it is what makes it so fascinating.
It's the mystery of it.
This is J.J. Abrams' whole fucking thing, the mystery box. This tree is a mystery box. It doesn't matter what the outcome is.
Wow.
The thing that's really interesting and cool is it or isn't it?
That is the question. I see. Okay.
So I'd like to make a definitive statement here. I'm going to say right now, this episode is Tamarind Part 1.
What?
We will be coming back.
Oh my God.
I'm making a bunch of work for Casey. We'll be coming back to Tamarind. after Casey does some research. I'm locking him away until he gets it done.
Oh, no. Wait, how does the lawyer go to jail in this situation? This is horrible.
Contempt of court, my man.
Contempt of court, bro.
Well, that's very interesting, Casey.
There you go. So I cannot tell if this is a good tree, a bad tree, other than the fact that it's a great tree because everyone loves everything about the fruit of it.
Well, the verdict will be announced during our review of this tree, and that must happen after a quick break. A recess. We will be right back with Completely Arbortrary. Welcome back. After a brief recess, we've reconvened. Casey, it's time to give this tree a verdict / rating.
Okay.
Here's how it works. We're going to give some closing arguments, and then give this tree a rating of 0 to 10 golden poems of honor for plant-based diet. Casey, as our resident expert, we'll begin with you.
All right. Okay. Let's see what I got. I think that this is a delightful tree. It seems to me, in all of the treeness of it, kind of goes right down the middle. You know, it's not one of those trees that like jumps out of your skin. It's not one of those trees that you pass by and someone says, "Did you see that tree?" And you're like, "What tree?" You know, you're going to know about it.
Kind of blends in with the background.
Exactly, yeah. So this tree, I think, it blends into the background in those ways, and it jumps straight to the front in other ways. I adore the fact that it has this interesting fruit that is completely unique. It is the only kind of fruit that does what it does.
Truly.
Only species in that genus. It's so special and different that it's its own thing.
Right, by definition.
By definition.
That's
precisely.
hardcore.
So I think that's pretty cool. I think that's very interesting. It is also a like pan-tropical tree, you know. It's another one of those canoe crops style, I suppose, where it is taken and whenever it is introduced to a new spot, everyone's like, yes, you are in. I love this. We're going to turn you into flavor. We're going to turn you into shade, and we're stoked.
We're going to turn you into flavor.
Yeah, they say to the pod. So I think I think that's really cool. And I love the fact that this tree is an enigma, even though apparently I have to now go search out why it's an enigma.
Yes,
this is like what's happening in the court with the right now, where everyone's like, hold on, we need to first go look at all these other things before we look back at this. Like, you've essentially bounced it back to a lower court here, Alex. Thanks.
I ask you not to sully our podcast with his name.
Excuse me. So I think that this is, I think that it's a cool tree, and I love a tree that has a little mystery. It's like, well, do I or don't I? I just think that's great.
In the meantime, here, try this. It's delicious.
In the meantime, here's some soda pop, kid. Like, all right, thanks, Tamarind tree. So I think that this tree is really cool. I'm going to give it an 8.9, which is.
Sorry.
Did you want me to go to 9, Alex? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, you can do whatever you want.
8.8.
You bastard.
I've never had an actual tamarind thing, but I'm going to go up to 9.0. I'm going to go up to 9.0.
No,
Alex,
don't do it just because I'm pouting.
I'm not doing it just because you're pouting. I'm doing this of my own volition.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Yes.
I'm going to give it a 9.0.
9.0 golden poems of honor.
Yeah, because I like a tree that gives a little and takes a little. You know? Could you imagine, like, this tree, you're walking down and it gives you a little bit of food and you're like, oh, this sounds great. And then you, like, put your cat underneath it and then you, like, turn around and it smashes your cat. And you're like, wait, what? And you're like, you can't tell if the tree's good or bad.
This is the second episode in a row where you've used cat violence to make a point. Last time you were skinning a cat.
Yeah.
Now you're smashing a cat.
Well, it's so evocative.
What's going on here?
Yeah, well, I have it out for cats.
Someone hack into this guy's personal sketchbooks to see if he's...
No, it's really just it's a call for help. I want a cat.
I see.
And you know, like when you're
lashing out.
Exactly. When you think a girl's cute at the playground, you push her over.
Yeah.
That's how you get your point across.
Okay, I got you now.
So now that's what I'm doing.
All right, we're gonna get you a cat.
Look at that adorable cat. I gotta kill it somehow.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I'm a psychopath.
With love.
Yes, with love. I just wanted to sleep on my chest and purr.
9.0 golden poems of honor for the Tamarind from Casey Clapp.
Golden poems of honor.
The Tamarind. Now, let me start with the tree basics.
Okay.
The bark is interesting. How often do you hear me say that?
Very rarely.
The flower really stunning, and not in like a generic, oh, that flower's pretty kind of way.
It's not a rose-like flower.
No, this is a genuinely interesting, unique beauty. Leaves, these little paddleboard leaves, or little canoe paddle leaves. So cute. I love them. Of course, the fruit. Culturally significant, culinarily significant, just delicious, a unique flavor. Casey, you're right. It doesn't remind me of anything else. It is uniquely tamarind.
Yeah.
When you taste it and stuff, you're not like, what is that? You're like, oh, that's tamarind.
Yeah.
Like immediately. Also, I love that it's not only culinarily important to like one place. It's not like regional.
Yes.
This is a worldwide sensation.
Yes.
I would be so silly to give this tree anything. Let me say this. The mango, I gave a perfect 10, right?
Yeah.
Now, a common flavor combination, at least in Mexico, maybe, hell, why not India, is mango and tamarind.
Yeah. Okay.
To honor that, I will be giving the tamarind a perfect 10 out of 10.
No
Golden Poems of Honor.
way. This is another one. Yeah. God, you have yet to give a perfect 10 for a tree that it does not have any culinary thing to it. I don't think.
Well, that's just my style, baby.
I guess that's true. Didn't you give a peach a 10 out of 10
Probably,
too?
yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Man, we know straight how to get to your heart.
I've got my things.
Wow, 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
This is a moment.
It's the perfect tree. There's nothing I don't like about it.
Wow.
And I love the flavor it gives us. And generally, we would play the Olympics theme.
Yeah.
But I don't know where my melodica is. I guess I can play it on guitar.
Yeah, you also have a piano in front of you. You
I've
could
got a little
probably
drum machine. Should we put a little drum beat to it?
Yeah, you could probably whistle it if you wanted. There you go. That sounds cool.
We'll do a little. I'll set this up for us.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Wow. What a sad moment for the tamarind.
I ended on a minor chord. Tamarind, congratulations.
Yeah.
You're epic, baby. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Casey, that was our review of the tamarind. It is now time for a very special segment. This is Trail Snacks.
I love trail snacks.
This is why I went to this little Mexican market that I love here in Portland. Also, they had tamales, so I got a couple. They were amazing.
That's fair.
Casey, at the beginning of the episode, I put a plate with a napkin in front of you.
Yes, I don't know what's underneath it.
Please unveil.
Okay.
So here's how this is going to work. In front of Casey and I, a little smorgasbord of different presentations of tamarind.
Yes.
We have your good raw tamarind with the veins and bones.
The veins and
We
bones.
have a little tamarind paste, which you can just eat, and then we have a little cup of from the Mara brand of vasito.
Okay.
So let's start, Casey. I'd like to start from the top and work our way down.
Okay.
And by that I mean the top of the tree and eat the raw chunk of tamarind pulp first.
The raw chunk of tamarind pulp first.
Yes. So this is a chunk of tamarind, and as you can see, it has some debris in it. Careful for seeds. Please enjoy.
It has a texture of a fruit leather.
It really does. It has the concentrated sweetness of a fruit leather as well. I think they probably put chilies in it. I forgot to tell you that.
What? This isn't just the raw thing?
Well, if it's spicy, that probably means they added...
I don't know. Alex, this is the thing. This is the very first time I've ever had tamarind.
I don't think tamarind is naturally spicy.
Gotcha.
But
it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's tasty.
I love it.
I want to know what to use it for.
Next is the little jam, the little tamarind jam.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little spicy, but it's not bad.
I really love it.
Now I want to know how it becomes sweet. It's tangy for sure. I get the tang, the acidic.
You think it's naturally sweet?
No, it becomes it's like sweet and savory. It's got like an acidicness to it, but also like a sweet sugary bit to it. You know,
That's why it's so good in pad thai, Casey.
Yes.
Pad thai is sour and sweet, just like tamarind. Just like you and me, huh?
Aww.
Who's who?
So this other bit,
Yeah.
this kind of jam, it's a lot of flavor.
Yeah.
It's very
powerful.
sweet.
I think you can take this and put it on some mango. You can
It is
put
just
it on some toast.
it is just naturally tropical flavor.
Yeah. It's wonderful. I hope this makes for good radio.
Woo! Everyone else, go get yourself some Tamarind. Rewind this and try it out.
Yeah, find a Mexican market in your zone.
Okay. This last thing is this little jam pack. It looks like what you get ketchup in, or like
Yeah,
salsa.
it looks like a little creamer packet at a diner.
It looks like a mix between the two things we just ate.
Yes, it's I will say this one is very like silky
Yeah.
and shiny.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, this one is concentrated.
Yes.
Casey, I'm so sorry.
Woo! Remember when we took shots of syrup?
Woo! Wow.
It was kind of like that. I know that this would be great in a sauce. That is where I'm at right now. I'm gonna take this home and I'm gonna make a little pad thai. I'm gonna do that
Yeah.
with
You should.
and see if it mixes well with my Japanese flavored stuff.
The thing about this last one, somebody's laughing at us because they're like, "You're not supposed to eat those by themselves."
Yeah, I know.
The thing about this last one, the consistency is it's like molasses.
Yes.
It's like thicker than molasses.
Really hard to get off.
It's very reduced. And I think the reduction is part of what makes it so flavorful.
Yeah.
Because it's just pure, unadulterated tamarind flavor. But there is something else going on in it.
I mean, it has a little kick to it, so there must be something in there.
Yeah.
Like all three of these have had just spicy's not quite the right term.
It's like
But-
tahini level of spicy.
Yeah, there's a little zing in there that just reminds you that you're alive.
It just warms you. Mm-hmm. But this one is like not that pleasant to me.
No, it's not.
It's very bitter almost.
Yeah, I think it is just too concentrated. Like
Yeah.
it's meant to be. It's like taking a bite of like better than bouillon. Where where you're just like, yeah, that looks like it's gonna be tasty, but it's just gonna be
Yeah.
the world's saltiest, high flavored
Spoonful
stuff.
of Knorr.
What is that?
There was like a chicken tomato bouillon.
Okay, yeah, it's the same kind of thing. Are we done with this episode yet?
We can be done, Casey.
Whew.
Out of the three, which are you most likely to snack on?
I like the jam the best.
The second one?
Yeah, I like that the best.
Cool.
Yeah, I would want to add in more flavors and then eat it with chips.
I had 2 mangoes earlier today.
That's fair. Oh, you're suggesting that I might put this on mango.
Yes.
I see.
Or pineapple.
I want something salty with it. I want something salty.
But it's already so savory.
Yep. No, I want something salty.
I'll say the thing that I am most likely to eat again, in fact, I'm taking another bite, is this kind of more raw, pasty, like with the seeds and
I was going to say, yeah.
with the bones and veins. That was Trail Snacks. Wow, I am buzzing.
Yeah.
Whew, I need some water. Casey, it's time for our completely arbitrary AMA. We got a fun one today.
That sounds great. Remember, if you want to do this, you want to have a question that I answer or Alex answers or we both answer or neither of us answers. Get yourself on our Tremium. That's over at supercast.com/arbitrarypod or something similar. You'll find it
No,
with a
actually,
Google.
it's arbitrarypod.supercast.com.
Dang it.
You can even join the Cone Club and get monthly cone stickers illustrated by independent artists. It's a hoot.
It really is?
And Casey, this week we got one from Katie. Hey, Casey and Alex, I have an odd question for you guys.
Okay.
I just walked in on my husband playing D&D with his friends. I'm so sorry, Katie.
God, I can't believe that.
His character apparently has tree bark growing out of his skin.
Well, is it Pineco, the 2 foot tall, 15.9 pound character?
Different universes, but
Oh, okay.
there's probably tabletop Pokemon RPG.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it. And he asked me what kind of bark it should be. I suggested cedar because it's decay resistant and strong.
Yes.
Or Palo Santo because then he'd smell really good.
Yes, that is true.
But I wanted to know what you guys would pick and why if you had to have tree bark psoriasis, as they're calling it.
Oh,
which
baby.
tree's bark
Tree
would
bark
you choose?
psoriasis. Well, see your doctor for options. That's a good question.
Now, I like this because I'm thinking like, well, it depends on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
If I'm like fighting someone, I'm going to have a different bark than if I'm working.
I see what you're saying.
You
Yeah.
know?
So if you're constantly at battle, you want to have tough, spiky, maybe bark that has some kind of thing that will be effective in attacking or
Yes.
maybe defending.
Yes, and maybe good regeneration.
Yeah,
rate,
yeah.
you know,
Okay, yeah.
Can really what's that called?
Compartmentalize. Over it.
Compartmentalize.
Yeah, okay. Versus if you're not doing that, if you're just chilling, if you're like a farmer,
For example.
then you don't necessarily need to fight.
Yeah, that would weigh you down probably.
Yeah,
that
you wouldn't be as
thick-ass
efficient.
bark.
Yeah, so you need quick bark, easy bark that is kind of flexible, moving around a
Oh
lot.
yeah. Well, here's my thought.
Okay.
No matter what, I want some paper bark.
Oh, you want it to exfoliate a little bit.
I think that would be fun. I just think it would be freaky too. Like,
Yeah.
You know, we're camping. Our D&D group is camping,
Uh-huh.
and you wake up from something. And you're like, "What's Alex doing?" And I'm like, peeling big thing. Like I have to do this every night.
Yeah, see, that sounds horrible. See, I would think of it, if it's on me as a person, it's equivalent to dandruff, you know? It's like you just go over there, you're like, oh, I got to itch my arm, and you're just like, and like little bits of shavings are coming off.
Yeah,
and
you
you're like,
little puddle of
dude,
shavings.
you got to sweep that up. Like, I don't know, gross.
I think that would be kind of a fun character trait. I choose that one.
All right. The first thing I should say that I thought of is, how can I use this to make myself more attractive to other people? I would want to be able to change my scent based on where I was and what the
Wow.
condition of me. And note, I want scent because I think that's, it's one of the most important things.
A little camouflatory smell.
Yes, exactly. Or something that draws you to it. So many plants, if they get injured, will put out certain scents, right?
Like a pheromone.
Exactly. Others will have it where it's always there, except in like the ponderous pine, the Jeffrey pine, for instance, they will have a certain scent when it gets really hot in the springtime. Their bark will. Whereas when it gets colder, it's not near as obvious.
Why?
It's just like things get heated up and they start to
Activated
move
and-
around.
yeah,
Exactly. So
okay.
you'll volatilize a little bit more.
Okay.
I would say that that's what I'd want. So when I'm getting toasty, I want people to be like, ooh, Casey's getting toasty over there. Check out his bark. Let's pop off a couple of those little puzzle pieces.
wow.
See what that smell is.
Let's check out that cambium layer.
Ah, yes.
Casey's in heat.
This is where I'm at. Yeah. What was it, springtime? Yep. You can smell Casey from here. I love it. So
I love this.
yeah, that's what I'd like. And I would not want, I don't think I would want something that is like exfoliating. I don't want to get something also that's like gets too thick, like a Douglas fir. So that way it's like, when you're old, it'll be like, oh, I'm actually, I only weigh this much, but my skin is 3 inches thick.
That's going to hinder your mobility too.
Exactly, yeah, and I don't want that. I want to be
like-
flexible and easy and quick.
I'm imagining the little brother in A Christmas Story when he's wearing all the coats and things.
Yeah, it's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example. So I would want to have something that's somewhere in between of that, of
Okay.
those two. And I think it would be nice to have something that is like useful to me, where I'm like sitting here, if you just like pull something off and you're like, you can exfoliate it, but you're not going to use your exfoliated skin to do something interesting like this iguana. They're not going to turn that into a piece of thread.
Could they
So,
not? Could they not weave a basket with my exfoliated skin? Could they not use it in a pinch as a bandage
Yes,
on
okay.
a wound?
That is possible.
I'm a healer.
You could potentially do that. I think I would go
Thank you.
more along the lines of like, I don't know, a Japanese fringe tree. That's what I'm going to choose.
Wow.
Japanese fringe trees, I think, have the most beautiful bark. They don't smell, so you're gonna have to add in the smell to it. So don't worry about that. But
Artificial?
no. We're coming up with some fantasy stuff here, so they're all put together.
It's a spell that someone casts on you to smell good.
Exactly. So I have the scent of a ponderosa pine, but the appearance of a Japanese fringe tree, which
Wow.
is a gorgeous, beautiful tree for its flowers and its fruit, but its bark starts out really exfoliating, but it exfoliates in a really curious way where it almost looks like it peels back very tight. So you just like look and say, it looks like it's kind of peeling because everything underneath is expanding. So it kind of looks like it almost goes, it rips and then like peels back really fast, almost like it's under tension. But as it gets older, it becomes much more furrowed and rough and creates a lot more of a vertical exfoliating effect. So it can keep its youth, but it also ain't nothing to mess with. So that's what I want. I want the best of all these worlds.
Wow, great choices. I have now that we're kind of playing around with this, I've got a new answer. I also kind of like the idea of of ash bark.
Oh,
because then if I get like an axe to the arm, just a bunch of beetles are flying out.
So as soon as something bad happens to you, then all of a sudden insects erupt from you.
And they swarm my enemies.
That would be the thing. They would have to swarm your enemies. That's disgusting and horrible. That sounds good. What a good question.
Well, thank you, Katie, and we hope your marriage survives this rough patch. And if you would like to ask us a question, become a Treemium member at arbortrarypod.supercast.com. That's ARBORTRARY pod.supercast.com. Of course, there you can join a couple different support levels, and one of them is the Cone Club. Casey.
Yes.
This month's cone that's going out is a Coast Redwood.
Yeah, with a beautiful yellow banana slug.
Just wreathed in a fat slug. It's so gorgeous. That's by Chen. It's a gorgeous one, and it's the best way to support the podcast. Also, we have a couple interesting merch items happening right now. We have a brand new tote bag. I hope we still have some, Casey.
Oh, we still have tote bags. Please.
No, we're almost sold out. Go buy one quickly.
Yeah, get it now before they run out.
And we have a very special merch item coming up that we've never had before. I can't say too much about it, but I can say it's a wearable.
Okay.
And it goes on a part of your body that has your face on it. But that's all I can say.
That's all you can say. Be cool about that, okay?
It's a mask.
It's a mask. Completely arbitrary bark masks.
Wow, you've been asking for them since the beginning.
We're giving them to you.
Casey Clapp.
Alex Crowson, great job.
Thank you for this wonderful discussion of Tamarind.
Thank you for bringing the flavors.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Casey. I love when we talk about food trees. Well, thank you everybody so much for listening to Completely Arbitrary's Plant-Based Diet. We will see you next time. Goodbye.
See ya.
Completely Arbitrary is produced by Alex Crowson and Casey Clapp. Our artwork is by Jillian Barthold, and our music is by Aves and the Mini Vandals. If you want to support this podcast and become a Treemium member, head over to arbortrarypod.supercast.com. Thanks for listening.